truck on Monday and got to go to their team lunch, and just to listen to them talk about the journey this winter that colleagues had with the Ram brand and trying to get trucks built just to get them down here for all of us was a very, very large undertaking. So, appreciate the effort that went in there for sure. And, I think I think the crew guys, it's kind of fun just to see them in the pit today and, see them with their shoulders back and their heads up high because they've really worked so hard. I was there pretty early at the first time that I got fit for the truck. And, they were waiting on body panels. They didn't even have body panels for the truck yet. And to see from that moment to now, see what they've accomplished and what they've got at the shop is remarkable. So, that plus they've got the 2-car Cup Series teams too. So it's fun to do it with a group I've never worked with before. It's fun to do it with a brand that I'm passionate about and at a track that we've had some success at. So it's, all in all, it's nice to be back.
All right, now we're going to open for questions. If you have a question, raise your hand. I'll work to get a microphone to as many as I can. To kick us off, we're going to go to Matt Weaver, and then we'll go to Jordan. Go ahead, Matt.
Matt Weaver, motorsport.com. 2 races you haven't won here. This is one of them. The one on Sunday, obviously, too.
Thanks for reminding me of that.
But there's a point. There's a good point.
Just because I never was going to remember that I hadn't won the Daytona 500. I figured you were probably going to be one of the 2 that I would have absolutely pegged to remind me of that, but thank you.
I wanted to rip the Band-Aid off first.
Yeah, thank you.
But one step ahead of the other. With the open exemption provisional they have now, if anyone was an open exemption provisional, it's Tony Stewart. Have you completely shut the door on doing the Daytona 500 if this is a really good thing tonight or tomorrow night?
We can lead every lap tomorrow night, and I will not be back here for the Daytona 500. I'm pretty good after all these years of saying never. You will not see me here for the Daytona 500. So.
And then the other one is I'm old enough to remember.
When you can, Holly. We'll wait. Sorry. Do you need us to start over and redo all this for you? So.
And the other one I've got is I'm old enough to remember some pretty egregious blocks that were made on Tony Stewart, and you let us all know and everyone know how you felt about them. In the modern truck series, we call that a Friday night. There's a lot of those every lap. Are you prepared to impart some wisdom on the young drivers of the NASCAR truck series?
I'm more than happy to give lessons tomorrow night if they're needed. So not encouraging it. It's not like we want to make a habit, but honestly, when I got into, what was the Busch series back in the day, that's how I learned my lessons was when I did something wrong. I made the mistake. I paid the price for it. And normally when you're sitting there in the infield and you're unbuckling, you got a little bit extra time to sit there and think about how you got there. So, a lot of this is going to be, we know what we're up against tomorrow night, and we know the history of this race. I've spent a lot of time with TJ Bell, who's my spotter. We've been looking at videos and going over a lot of situations and scenarios that have happened in these races. So we know what can happen, but, it's still the old theory of, what you're talking about is a side note, and it's the one that makes you money and puts money in your pocket. It's the thing I don't give 2 shits about over here. All I care about is doing what I can do in that truck to get myself in the best position to be there at the end to try to win the race. So, the goal is not to go out there and try to pick fights all night if that's what you're getting at. It's literally to go out there and know that there's guys that don't have the experience that we have that are going to go out there and make mistakes, and it's try to not put ourselves in a position that if and when, and most likely those are going to happen, to not be collateral damage in them. So. And the reality of it is, too, I could be somebody that makes a mistake in it. I got the same opportunity as all those other guys that haven't been here as much as I have to make the same mistake that they may or may not make. So I got to do my part, too. It doesn't mean that, I'm not going to do something wrong out there, but nobody does anything intentionally out there to cause problems. It's just trial and error, and it's, that's how you learn from your mistakes, and that's how you become a better race car driver. So after being out of them for 10 years, there's good possibility I'll make a mistake just like anybody else in the field, and I just hope that mistake doesn't cost me or a bunch of other race teams and drivers an opportunity to win the race tomorrow night.
All right, Jordan.
Jordan Bianchi, The Athletic, to your left, Tony. You kind of touched on it a little bit, but when it's all said and done, what would constitute a successful night for you after tomorrow night's race?
I literally think it started Monday night. Honestly, I drove the motorhome from Charlotte down. I literally drove from Indy to West Virginia to Charlotte, and then Charlotte down to here in a 2-day span. But as odd as it's going to sound, I mean, literally, when I was following the Colleague Cup rigs, and they didn't even know it was me. They hadn't seen me in the motorhome, so they didn't know it was me driving. But they went around me, and I just followed them till about an hour north of here. And so I got some drafting practice, by the way, just not at the rate I wanted it, but it was fun when we pulled in there. A buddy of mine rode from Park City, Utah, with me, and we got to the truck stop there, and he's like, "Look at all these rigs," and I got out, and it was like a family reunion. All of a sudden, it's like a 40-minute stop at the truck stop, all of us talking and getting fuel. And I told him when we got in the motorhome, I said, I have a feeling no matter what happens in this race, whether we get wrecked on lap 1 or whether we win the race, that it's just going to be a fun week. And that's kind of the mentality that I'm coming down with. I didn't think about that when I came down here. I didn't set expectations. I didn't set goals other than to just do the best I could do the entire time we're here. But literally just the drive down the other night, I had enough fun with that to say no matter what happens in the race that I had a fun time down here this week already, and it's continued all the way through this moment.
I know your NHRA schedule is going to start up soon, and you're going to be focused on that, but there are some gaps along the way.
I have a wife and a son.
I
that
understand.
Also like those gaps as well, and would prefer I not keep booking those gaps open. So
But could
not
you-
plan. I'm getting ahead of you. I already know where you're going.
Okay,
I'm not
go.
planning anything else.
So is it one and done then? Is that
Yes,
it? It is one and done.
That's what we said in the press deal.
I'm just making sure.
I have you not known me long enough? When I tell you something, you can damn sure write it down in the book and underline it in capital letters. That is what it's going to be. I said that. I said I was never coming back to NASCAR, and here I am 10 years later. So
I didn't want to say that.
take
so
my
yeah, I
comment
was
out
gonna
of the
say,
equation.
You said
just
you were done,
rewind
and
that.
here you are. So.
Yeah. I got to quit listening to myself sometimes. Yeah, I'm learning to not trust me too. So
All right, we're going to go Reed and then Bob. Go ahead, Reed. Reed, just raise your hand. There you go.
Reed Spencer with the NASCAR Wire. Given the fact that you've grown into the career as a top fuel dragster driver, are you going to have to slow back down for this race tonight?
no, I don't think so at all. I think the difference is, yeah, we might be running 330 miles an hour and 1,000 feet, but nobody is crossing over in your lane. So, let alone a couple inches in front and behind you. So, the game is drastically different. You know, it's apples and oranges in all reality. I don't think the speed's the relative part as much as just the proximity that we're going to be around people versus not being around anybody but one other person in another lane. This is going to be drastically different, but I still have a feeling that the years I've spent down here are going to be more relevant than what I've done the last couple of years.
All right, Bob.
Bob Hockris, Fox Sports. Since you've been down here, have you run into Steve O'Donnell at all? And if you have, did you guys have any sort of conversation?
No, I have not had that pleasure yet. Not at all. So. I'm going to do my deal. If I run into Steve O'Donnell, he'll have to deal with that part. So, but I'm going to go do me, and I don't really care what he does this week.
All right. Go right here. Oh, right behind you, Max. Thank you.
Steve Schweitzer with Inside the Cup Garage. Welcome back. Good to have you.
Thanks.
I read an article recently that said Tony Stewart's going to be really surprised when he gets out there on the track in the Truck Series. Things have changed a lot in the last 10 years, and he doesn't know what he's in for. How would you respond to that?
They're probably right. I mean, there's a lot of technology that's changed in 10 years, and that's where you got to rely on your buddies. I mean, I've already made some phone calls in the Cup Garage to guys that have run trucks, and you know, and they're absolutely right. I mean, I guarantee if this was anywhere but Daytona or Talladega, there's even more variables that are in play. But there's one thing when you come to Daytona and Talladega that hasn't changed, and that's the air. The air is the same no matter how much technology's changed. That air hasn't changed. So it's literally learning the truck. It's learning how it sucks up or doesn't suck up. It's what happens when you pull out of the draft. How much does it fall on its face? And what happens when somebody tucks down on the door? So it's I feel like a smaller list of variables that I have to relearn, and a variable that really hasn't changed at all with the air. So, but I guarantee if we went anywhere but here, there's a lot of variables we would have to relearn, and we would be way further off base than what we might be here. And I might be surprised. We might start the race tomorrow night, and I may go, wow, there's a lot more that's changed than I realized. But you don't know what you don't know till you get in there. But I still feel like it's still Daytona, and it's, still learning the draft and all that. And I feel like even, the guys that we're racing against all these years, even though we haven't ran a truck here, we know what this air does here, and it's just a matter of learning how the truck reacts to that.
All right, we'll go Danielle and then Holly. Go ahead.
Danielle Trotta, Sirius XM. Tony, I see Leah's here. What does your wife think about this venture?
Well, she's questioning her sanity of whether she made the right decision marrying me for making the decision to come to Daytona to race, but she's very supportive of this. She's excited. Obviously, she's been with Dodge a lot longer than I have, and she has a fantastic relationship with them. So to understand why we're down here and doing this with Dodge and Ram and Stellantis, I mean, she knows how important that is to all of us. So, but it's neat. I think it's an opportunity that she never had to literally come to a NASCAR event and watch me drive in NASCAR. So, we get to have Leah here, and we get the cherry on top. We get Dominic here too, who will never have that opportunity, obviously. So we kind of get a 2-for-1 deal, getting my family to be a part of this with us.
So cool that it's Dom's first race, seeing you here too. And then secondarily, as a former Cup Series team owner, I wanted to know what you thought about what Matt Collig is doing, kind of taking a risk, putting himself on an island this year, Chevy-wise, hoping that it pays off long-term to be the first key partner in when Ram gets to Cup. Do you see his vision? Do you respect what he's doing?
Yeah, I think it's hard. I mean, I think in society as a whole, but let alone in business, big change is tough, especially in competitive sports. But I think what Matt's doing shows, you can either be in the middle of the pack with the OEMs, or you can take a shot at taking a leap of faith and being the top guy on the board with an OEM. And I think that's where Matt's experience as an entrepreneur and businessman shine and shows why he's making the move that he's done. So I think it's a great step for him. I think it's a great opportunity. I think it's smart on his part. I think it's, there's obviously risk to anything that's not proven yet, but for someone like him, he's got a history of making really good moves in business, and I think this is one of them that will follow suit with that.
All right, Holly.
Hi, Tony. Holly Kane with the NASCAR Wire Service. I wanted to ask you what the reaction has been both from your friends and competitors in the drag racing side about you coming back and doing this, and also about the NASCAR side, excited to welcome you back.
I literally today, this morning through now, have had more text messages from the drag racing space than anybody that's texted me today. I would say there's probably more drag racers going to watch a truck race on Friday night than they've ever seen before. So, but it's neat. I mean, it's people, it's the relationships that you meet in all forms of motorsports, but we've got a really neat group of friends in the drag race space that all are wishing us well and want us to do well. And even some of them are like, we'd never watched a truck race on TV, but we're going to watch Friday. So it's neat that we've been bringing a whole new audience to NHRA drag racing from the NASCAR side, and it's neat to be able to kind of flip the script and do it the opposite direction as well.
What about the NASCAR guys welcoming you back? Have you talked to Jimmy? I know you guys are great friends.
I haven't seen Jimmy yet. I saw Alex Bowman yesterday and Justin Allgaier and a couple of the guys before they went out for qualifying and everything. But some of them, the number one question is, have you lost your mind? So I'm like, yeah, I have. Catching up with everybody.
All right, we're going to go Zach in the far corner.
Zach Sterniolo, NASCAR.com. Tony, what's preparation been like for this? Obviously, you can't. There's no significant track time before getting out there and mixing it up. So what do you do to prepare for something like this?
About a month and a half off and on of iRacing, literally. We didn't tell. I've got a bunch of friends on our iRacing team that we race with on nights when I can get out and get on the simulator, but they kind of were, I don't know that they really put two and two together when I was like, hey, let's mess with trucks tonight a little bit, and started adding more and more to that versus our dirt races that we normally run. And We do Xfinity and truck races at Talladega and Daytona, at some point during the night anyway. But, I started asking for more of those races during the night, and they didn't really question it. And then when the announcement came out and I could actually tell them that I was doing the truck race, then they were like, now we know why you kept asking for more. And literally, I have to give my group of iRacing guys, I mean, they're all the way from Pennsylvania across to out by Seattle, Washington. We got a big group of guys. I've got to thank those guys because they literally, from the moment we announced we were doing that, they were all in on truck races at Daytona. And, that's not what we normally do on a night, but they were all in on doing anything they could do to help us just get laps. And like you said, we physically couldn't drive anything. So, we've had a great partnership with iRacing, and actually Leah did a great job of helping with an iRacing project that we've done on social media this week to just showcase what we did to get ready to come here. So, this 50-minute practice we're getting, we're not going to be doing any drafting practice because of the points. And like we said, Colleagues had to work so hard to just get trucks down here. They don't have enough backup trucks for everybody. So, TJ and I worked a lot 2 nights just to make sure that I understood his communication on the radio, and so that way, when the race starts tomorrow night, instead of trying to learn a spotter and learn a truck and trying to figure out what it's going to do in the draft, we at least have our communication down, and I can focus on the truck. So it's been a lot of late night hours on iRacing, which is not uncommon for us, but a lot on the Daytona and truck side.
How much of it is a one-to-one? Obviously, nothing's exact, I would imagine anyway. But how realistic and helpful can that be for what you might experience tomorrow?
I'll know tomorrow night a lot more and be able to give you a real answer to that. But I can say that TJ and I were at the motorhome last night. We were going over video last year's race, and there were some aspects that we saw that I had picked up on the iRacing side that I'm like, I don't know if it's really going to translate or not. And more so than I really even thought, we were seeing that in aspects of the race yesterday. So I don't know 100% what percentage to give you of, yeah, that's exactly like it was in the simulator, but literally watching video last night, I was like, I can't believe that. That's exactly what I've seen in the iRacing side too. So I do think I might be surprised that it might be a larger percentage than what I actually thought.
All right, Dalton, go ahead.
Hey, Tony. Dalton Hopkins with Front Stretch. Do you have any fond memories of Greg Biffle?
I didn't get to spend a lot of time away from the track with him, but I think when we did the SRX series, that was kind of a neat deal where after the races, not everybody was in a hurry to, get to the airport or get to somewhere to get out of there and leave, and guys hung out. But I've hung out with Biffle in Glamis out there in the sand dunes, and had a lot of fun with him. I got some neat videos on my phone from when we were out there, and he's swinging a hammer. Somebody bent a wheel, and he's literally swinging a miniature sledgehammer and trying to bend this wheel back. And we're all, got about 5 or 6 of us NASCAR guys sitting there watching him beat on this wheel, and we're all cracking jokes about it while we're hanging out. But, he definitely was one of those guys that, if you had the opportunity to do stuff away from the track with him, he was a lot of fun, and never really got wound up about anything. I mean, he didn't have big emotions high or big emotions low. He was just kind of one of those middle of the road guys. But getting to hang out with him, the couple trips to the dunes that I got to hang out with him was a lot of fun. He made it a lot of fun.
All right, Tony. Thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate you spending some time with us, and best of luck on Friday.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Drew. All right, and just a quick update. I know at 3:40 on the media availability schedule, we had